my friend. My name is PEtrovick, and for the past 25 years, I've been teaching, coaching, and training people how to create a better quality of life, primarily through the home-based business profession. And today, I got to tell you, I live a lifestyle that most people only dream about. I have to tell you, though, it hasn't always been that easy. Lots of ups and downs for me over the years. And what I've come to realize is that success has a lot to do with our philosophies and our programming. Unfortunately, we have to unprogram ourselves because of some of our limiting beliefs and how we've been raised and things like that. But the truth is, I think all of us from time to time need to reach out and learn from people who have created what we want to create. Well, I've created a series, and I call this series Prosperity and the Mentors. And my intention here is to bring together some of the best thought leaders, some of the best marketers, some of the most successful people on the planet that are entrepreneurial focused. And I want to take you behind the curtain. I want you to understand, what are their habits? What tools do they use? How do they handle the challenging times? Because we all have challenging times, no question about that. I want you to understand how they created success, prosperity, and abundance in their lives. Well, I'm just thrilled tonight because my guest today, believe it or not, he started back in 2005 with his first direct sales company. And after 3 years, he found himself $30,000 in debt. Then he discovered attraction marketing and went full force into that. And that led him to becoming a top income earner in two different companies. Today, he is one of the authorities on online marketing today and attraction marketing. He teaches his secrets and the cutting edge strategies in his company called My Lead System Pro, which is an amazing training company that actually has created some of the biggest leaders in the online world. And it's not just network marketing, it's real estate people, coaches, you name it. If somebody is a solopreneur who wants to do things online, My Lead System Pro is the platform to go and learn and then execute and then profit from that. Well, he's got over 130,000 members, students, if you will. They've generated over 3 million leads, paid out over 17 million in commissions since 2008. He is a meditation and personal development junkie. And I love that about this guy. He's a master copywriter, an expert when it comes to marketing. He's an international speaker or trainer. His vision and his passion for helping you to unplug from the matrix and to build a business around your ideal life so that you can create the dreams that you want, that is his passion. My guest today is the international rock star, of course, Mr. Brian Fanale. Brian, thanks so much for being here, man.
Terry, it's good to be here, man. It's good to be here. I love what you're putting together. I think with what you're doing and where you're headed, you're going to really, you're already doing great, but I think the impact and the amount of people you're going to be able to help through this summit, you got some big names on here, man. I'm honored to be a part of it with you here.
Well, we certainly appreciate you playing in our sandbox with us, Brian. So, share a little bit more about your background, because your story and how you got into this world of being an entrepreneur, I think you came from actually being a rock star or want to be a rock star with your music background, but go ahead and take us behind the curtain a little bit.
Snapshot. Okay. Well, I was graduated college at 22 years old, and we were playing in a band. We were a musician. Me and my brother were touring up and down the East Coast, and we were kind of living the dream in that sense. And I loved it. And I was going to school to pursue some type of medical degree. And the more doctors and professionals that I worked with, they would all tell me to get into sales because they were running around they were on call all the time, running around the hospitals. Just literally, they were tied to their business. And they said the malpractice insurance was through the roof. They couldn't even do what they wanted to do to begin with. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do here? So I put that on the back burner and continued to play music for about the next year. And I wound up pretty darn broke. You don't make much money as a bartender / musician. And I just went to Google, Terry. I went to Google. I put in make more money. I didn't want to give up on the music dream. And I just wanted to be able to take my girlfriend out to the movies like that, literally, and be able to buy my band members a round of beers at the next gig. That was it, man. And then I was introduced to network marketing, specifically top tier direct sales. And I just dove in. I knew nothing about anything, man. My parents weren't entrepreneurial. I didn't even know what MLM stood for. I can remember yelling down at my drummer who lived underneath me, like, what is an MLM? I think I have one. And I didn't even know what that was. It took me about 3 months into the business to kind of figure out what I had gotten into. And like many people, man, I got my tail whooped. Yeah, 30 grand in debt is very real. I spent money on ads. I didn't know what I was doing. I was doing bandit signs at highly trafficked intersections and 800 numbers, you know, CEO level income, don't believe it, don't call. Here's the 800 number. Doing everything, anything, friends, family, the whole thing. And I was on the edge, man. 3 years later, I was like kind of pissed, and still I was grateful for those 3 years because I had to develop through that. And that was a gift, that whole process, because then it led me, when that opportunity came, to learn about what we teach inside of MLSP, which is really how to attract buyers. Instead of pitching, spamming, trying to, you know, post opportunity links everywhere and try to convince and chase and cold call, which I was doing all of them, I learned about how to add value and how to be actually a guy of value, and to attract hungry buyers who are actually interested in what we've got. And from that place, man, it's been a dream. Met some buddies quickly thereafter in the same company where I was literally that month from 30 grand in debt. I went to my first 5-figure month in profit. And then using those principles and strategies, we crushed that company. I met my buddy Norbert, who is involved in this as well, in the summit. And we put our heads together and developed a system so that people could not only learn like what we're doing, but actually here's the software, here's the approach, here's the exact funnels, offers, here's the way to get out there and build like the top leaders you see up on the stage. And of course, build your brand, build your audience, and build multiple streams of income, and really lead with value. And of course, have network marketing and that product be a part of it, but it isn't the end game. That's a part of it, but you are the company. And from that approach, we've been able to, like you said in that intro there, we've been able to do some cool stuff and help a lot of people really find their message, their vision, their passion, and make a pretty darn big difference. So there's a lot of story in those first 3 years that I would love to share. Aha moments, breakthroughs where your back's against the wall, you're not sure what's going to happen, where rent's going to come, but you just stay the course, and it just happens to fall into place somehow, some way, because you've got some belief. It's just been a magical, weird, wild ride, man. It's been pretty cool. And here today, we get to train some of the biggest leaders and work alongside some of the biggest names in the profession. And I think we're really making a difference, man.
Well, you absolutely are. And you know, what I love about you, Brian, is that you're all heart. I mean, there's a big brain component as well, but I think you lead with your heart because you care so much. And it really shows. So thank you for being you on that level. Let's talk about what prosperity means to you at this point in your life, Brian.
Prosperity. Man, at this point, honestly, like freedom, to me, it's just, money's great, and it's been awesome. I found out very quickly that money doesn't make you happy. It really doesn't. It's like, for me, it was, I think for a lot of people, at least a lot of students I personally coach, they want that 10 grand a month, like 5-figure a month. They think everything is gonna, sunshine, rainbows, you'll be able to pay for everything, all your problems go away. And I did that, and it's like a drug. It's like a hit, because when you get there, and you will, if you stay in this game long enough, get around the right people and just don't quit. Like, if you're going at it, Terry, I was running a program of I was never enough. I had to prove myself. It went back to, I actually pinpointed the exact story where I found that program, and I was running it for over a decade. And from that place, I was trying to build a business. You can't create prosperity or wealth from a place of lack or not enough. And I was doing that. So then when I was working on myself, I hit that 5-figure a month business, and it didn't go away. And even when you hit 6 figures a month, it's the same thing. If you're going at that from this place of lack, that's not prosperity. You could fool the matrix, get in there and make some money, but it's not, you're not going to take that with you at the end of the day, and it's not going to make you happy. And like I said, like a drug, it's going to wear off. You're going to need to not only hit that same income level next month, but you're going to have to go up further and further and further, because you're not being a place of prosperity. That's not who you are. You got there like on a whim, you got lucky. But if you're not like in your core wealth or prosperity or freedom or wealth or riches, whatever it is, if you get that for a moment, you're still going to revert back to the old you, and you're going to need to keep earning and producing to feel prosperous, when really at the end of the day, it's just an emotion. We think like you could actually cultivate that, actually step into that, become who that person would be today, and start to attract that wealth and prosperity to you. So it's not money. I can tell you it's 100% not money. For me, it's finding your voice and passion, which is what our company, I love what we do. And then being able to do what you want to do on your own terms, and being able to help out who you want to help out, whether that's friends or family or causes, faith, philanthropic endeavors, whatever it is. It's the money is cool, but it really is that's just energy. It's just a vibration. It comes and goes. And when you learn the laws of wealth, you can create as much as you want. But the prosperity, the real happiness, to me, comes from a place of finding, like just before we hit record, Terry, you said, I know who I am, like in passing, and you said that very quickly. And I know what you meant by that. And that when you know who you are, and that's your message, man, it's not work. And life, I don't feel, should be work. It should be like, you don't need the alarm clock, not because you want to sleep till noon, but because you are excited to get up and create content and serve your audience and get out there and do what you were put on this planet to do. When you find that sweet spot, to me, you have a rich life. To me, there's a prosperous life. And what's funny is when you do that, man, the wealth, the money, the cars, the houses, if that's what you want, it will follow, because all that stuff, the money, is just a representation of how much value you bring into the marketplace. So when you're in that space, that's all you can do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's powerful. Thanks so much for sharing that. Let's talk a little bit about some of your rituals, Brian, from that place when you were, maybe struggling, and then what shifted and changed for you in terms of your routine morning, evening rituals, and talk a little bit about how that evolved for you.
Yeah, hell yeah. Gratitude, man. Honestly, there isn't anything more. Like, for example, when I was just getting started, I didn't have any money. If I didn't have any money, I would have paid to be there. Here's zero. I was 30 grand in debt, right? That's where I was. I was way far less than zero. And I learned very quickly that I had two options. I could keep focusing on the lack and the struggle and the pain, or I could maybe start putting into place what some of my leaders and mentors were telling me to, and that I've got to find some stuff right now to be absolutely grateful for. So one ritual and routine I did back in the day was every single morning I would grab my guitar, and not every morning in integrity, but I would grab my guitar and go out on the front porch and watch as the cars drove by. And I could see the driver, just stressed out, not happy. They're going to work. And I'm sitting there, my bank account isn't full, but I feel like the most lucky dude on the planet. I found a platform, a model, a vehicle, a vortex. Now the money's not there yet, but I know it's coming. I'm grateful for it. And more important than that, I'm sitting there able to do what I love, and forcing my brain to seek gratitude, knowing that my belief is that God, creator, infinite intelligence, whatever you want to call it, if you don't find gratitude in this moment right now, she is not going to give you anything. I mean, why would they give you more to feel gratitude for? And if you're going to be pissed off, broke, stuck, struggling, and you're attached to that emotion, well, the ego, you're going to get fed more opportunities and people and experiences and circumstances to endorse that belief model, to keep you in that cyclical, perpetual pattern of broke, stuck, depressed, upset. And so I just started breaking some patterns like that in the routines. And honestly, man, the first hour of every day became very much, when you talk about routines, that's the golden time. And honestly, if there are people on this call, on this summit, who are they've got their phone right next to them, and right when they wake up, if their alarm goes off, or if they just wake up casually, they turn over to the phone and they're immediately in reaction mode, and they're giving their power to the day. And they're just, how many people liked my post, how many people tweeted, how many emails, and doing all that. You are spending no time in actually consciously creating what you want to create. And then you wonder why the month goes by like this and there's no results. For me, that first hour of meditation, a little bit of just stretching, moving the blood around, and just getting clear on who I'm going to be today and what I'm going to prepare myself to create. And then visually going through that, like visually, mentally rehearsing what that looks like, and do not get up from that seat until my energy, my mindset, my body, my state matches where I want to go. in the next 6 to 12 months, whatever I'm working on for that particular period of time. And that gets done in the day I don't know how deep you want to go, but when you're in those theta and alpha brain waves, when you still got some of that melatonin, the door to the subconscious is open as much as it possibly can be. Right when you wake up, when you're in that woozy state, you can dive in to do some crazy cool work on yourself in that period of time, where it's much difficult to get to that state if you do it at 12:1, once you've had hours of calls and work and all that stuff. So the morning, when you talk about routines, man, that first hour to 2 hours, that's sacred time for whatever people are going to be different and find their things. But for me, it's a lot of meditation, breath, visualization, and just getting attuned in alignment with who I'm going to become that day based on where I want to go.
So so let's say, look at this morning or last couple of days, you wake up in the morning, take us through that first couple hours. What do you actually do?
Yeah, cool. First thing, to my chair. Like right off, I've got a couple of meditations that I particularly listen to. One of my favorite is Dr. Joe Dispenza, but I've got a couple of them, and I will sit literally this morning was deep, right like I just said, like right when I roll out of bed, I'm going straight to that chair and I'm sitting with myself for the last few days. Either it's typically, last few days have been an hour. That's what I will normally do, at the bare minimum 20 minutes, to just sit and rest with what, we've got some big targets in 2019, and they're not going to happen by chance. And I'm getting getting my body, my brain, my neurochemical makeup, everything, my state of being, my vibration, everything attuned to who I know I need to become in order to lead this company, to lead my tribe, my vision to that level. And for that hour, I am doing the work and going through what I do to get in alignment. Now that I wouldn't start out with an hour if you're just getting into meditations or sitting with yourself. But I will tell you this, if you've never done something like that before and you go sit, there's going to be chaos. There's going to be the old program telling you to get up. You got to go check on your phone. And it's fascinating to watch. And even if I miss a few days, I feel that when I go sit again, that, hold up, this is, to me more than anything, that just doing something like that and stating like, this is my day, my life, I'm creating this. And then, basically understanding like who, when things pop up, going through the day yesterday and what triggered you, what happened, how can you prepare and perform yourself better? Like, what could that look like? What could, if you want to create wealth, what could that feel like? What kind of new neurons, new thoughts, new patterns, processes up here, thoughts would we have to not only think, but have to unthink and separate ourselves from, and doing all sorts of that inner work. And then after that, to move around a little bit, do a little bit of stretching. And from there, typically for me, from that place, I'm literally not getting up until, because the body and brain, it can't tell the difference. That's the whole thing with the law of attraction. It can't, if you can actually make your body and brain look as if whatever you want is already done. Like you can literally, there's been all sorts of scientific experiments showing that, like tests, scientific data showing that your body and brain can physically look as if whatever the event you want has already happened. And when you can get to that place and be that person throughout the day, it's only a matter of time. And if you can, the more you can sustain that throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, some weird stuff, man, starts to open up. She has to acquiesce. The whatever you believe in, the universe has to answer who you're being. Not so much what you say you want, but who you're showing up as. And that hour, 2 hour spot in the first part of the day, it's crucial, man. Sets the tone for the rest of the day.
Awesome. What about in the evening before you go to bed? Any routines there?
Yeah. I'll take an inventory on what I want to get done in the next day, the next day, to prepare myself for that. And again, you're going to hear a lot of gratitude from me. And especially in the beginning, if your back's against the wall, that's when it's the hardest. Like I kind of miss those days because it's that's where the most growth happens. When you're like you're so unclear on what's going on, you're scared, there's fear, and of course we're stretching and growing and pushing ourselves as much as we possibly can. So that's still there, but it was different in the beginning before you had your first breakthrough, and having that gratitude at the end of the night to just bless the day, give thanks, and to ask yourself a question, whatever you're dealing with. Like, honestly, your unconscious is, handling, you've got trillions of cells doing trillions of functions every second. You don't have to think about any of that. Imagine if you could learn how to tap into that and ask yourself some powerful questions right as you get in that woozy state right before rest. You will start to get answers, and giving some gratitude. I'm not the positive thinking guy, man. I'm not like, don't, ignore the problems, ignore, the pain. Like let's find out where you fell from grace that day, pinpoint it, and figure out how tomorrow is going to be different. Right. So that same thing with the evening, my phone goes on, if it's in the room with me, it's going on airplane mode. Typically, ideally, you have the phone completely out of your room. You get enough I've got 3 monitors here, cell phones. You get enough of that electromagnetic energy throughout the day. I know it's going to be crazy for some of us on here to put your phone outside of your room, to literally make sure you don't just roll over and fall into reaction mode and go into the past, like to actually physically, consciously create your future from a clean slate, from a new day. So, finding gratitude, blessing the day, and looking for what we want to get done tomorrow, the next day, and just giving thanks for another opportunity to have this life, to have another 24 hours, and God willing, another 24 tomorrow, because that's not promised. And I think a lot of us forget that.
That's right. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. Has there been a book, Brian, or an item that you have found yourself giving to people over the years?
Yeah. Well, man, my favorite book is, one of my favorite books is, oh my gosh, it's over here. Forgot the name of it. It's Andy Andrews. Oh shoot. He goes through, hold up, I'm going to Google this, because this is awesome. And I just love, I love his stories. The Traveler's Gift is one of the first books I ever read back in like 2005, 2006. And man, this isn't, I've got a bunch, Tony Robbins, Joe Dispenza, Kiyosaki. I've got a ton of, books that I absolutely, some really cool science books, as well as wealth creation books. This one is so simple, but it talks about this guy having a near-death experience, and then him visiting 7 teachers through time and showing basically he's got some decisions to make throughout the whole journey. And that book, for whatever reason, man, on the 7th, when he gets to, I don't want to ruin the book, but when he gets to the last leader, the last guide, he has a conversation with him and essentially says, like, I'll say a little bit, there's a stack of papers at the end of this thing, and he had a choice. Stack of papers all the way through the heavens, as high as it can be. These were all the dreams go when they die. This is where, when fear pops up, when these people, they were born with all these gifts and potential, this is what could have been. And the way that this guide, and I won't ruin the whole thing, expresses this to the main character in this book, I still read it to this day. And there's like a synopsis of each chapter with a really nice 1-page at the end of each one. I've read that over and over and over again, because there are some parables and principles that are literally universal laws that really moved me, and I think had an impact back. I mean, this is 2005, 2006, and to this day, Traveler's Gift is still one of my all-time favorites.
Awesome. Here's a fun question. Has there been a purchase that you've made in the last 6 months for $100 or less that has had a positive impact on your life?
Purchase for $100 or less that has had an impact. $100 or less. Let me think about that. That's a good question. Something applicable, so that anyone could pick up. No excuses, right? Nope. You gotta, go get this for $100. You talking about like a marketing tool or like a anything?
Whatever.
Anything? A tool for $100 or less.
Anything that had a positive impact on your life?
Well, there's a thing that my brother, me and my brother work out of this house. It's this little block, and he uses it, but he's used it for both of us. Basically, you can put 5 or 15 or 30 minutes up to like all the way up to an hour, and you put it on its side, and it basically tracks time. And what we do is you'd be surprised. You won't be surprised, Terry, but guys, if you had 45 minutes, 30 minutes of like shutting everything down, the reason we don't get stuff done is because there's so much coming at us. Messenger, Slack, Skype, pop-up stuff, text, like you're again in reactionary mode. And this little block, I forgot the name of it, but if you go to Amazon, it's like a timer thing, and it's super cheap, way under $100. And you literally just put it on the side of the amount of time that you want, whether it's 15, 5, 30, 45 minutes up to, I think there's 90 minutes on there, I think. And he's been using that, which we've both been using together in terms of like banging out copy, banging out new offers, creating new sales funnels. And if you actually get that tool, it's basically like an alarm clock, but it's even like you don't even need the phone or anything on Google. You turn off every browser, every Facebook, anything that can interrupt you, and you put a sign outside the door if you've got family, kids, and say, when this sign is on, you do not come in here. And whether if that means you need to sit down with your family and let them know where you're headed, why you're doing what you're doing, and to just let them know, like, look, I need this because I want to provide this, and this is what, you know, is required of me. And use that little block of 45 minutes to 90 minutes, whatever it is, you'll find your sweet spot. Typically we humans, you know, 50 minutes to an hour is usually where we can go like bam. And before we start kind of losing or performing, you know, performance goes down a little bit. That thing's been a cool reminder of how powerful we are if we just turn off everything and focus on the one income producing thing, whether that's follow-up, whether that's setting up the webinar, getting the funnel done, or whether that's creating some type of offer or team building, whatever it is in your business. If you actually got razor sharp focus, you could probably get more done in 4 hours than most get in a full day. That's why I don't believe time is, that's just a resource, man. That's not the reason. That's, you know, it's the emotions that make you resourceful. That time has nothing to do with it. Neither does money. Yeah. How many people do you and I, Terry, both know that they started with no money, no time, no skills, period. And they still got it done.
That's right. That's right. Okay. That's awesome. Let me shift the conversation a little bit towards business success and money. Has there been a time, Brian, where you struggled with creating prosperity and abundant thinking? And if so, how'd you deal with it? How did you push through it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, man. Still not perfect today at all. If you're up to big things, the only way you're going to not experience what you just explained, Terry, is if you just chill. Like, honestly, if you're not going to go out there and do much of anything, maybe you won't have to face the doubt, fear, the things that come along with playing big. That's part of doing the things and getting up, and whether it's doing the webinar and running ads to it, or getting in front on stage and talking to hundreds or eventually thousands of people at an event, like, that is part of it. And again, the only way to avoid that is by just not playing big. But those breakdowns are going to come, but that's good, because those are where the breakthroughs are. And for me, man, it's always just getting back. If that's why, if you can actually, for me, I do a bunch of little things that trigger. I've literally, like, to me, it's just, I played a lot of sports growing up, and it's just repetition, mechanics, and for me, a lot of body movement. And I've associated like this feeling of, two things I'll tell you. This feeling of like, it's going to be okay. Like, I've got this no matter what. And I do these little things. Like, for example, I would run for like 5 or 6 miles a day, and I would snap my fingers. And right now, just doing this, I can feel my body start to feel those emotions. For example, it would be wealth and reprogramming and things like that. When I was broke, every single foot, I don't know how many feet it is in a mile times 5 or 6, and I would snap. And when I did that, I would literally focus in my heart, wealth, wealth. I am worthy. I've got more than abundance. Wealth is coming. Wealth is here. I've got enough abundance. Whatever I want to create, I've got this. And every single time in that peak state, I would start to associate that. So before I get on stage or do a webinar, I can do things like this that trigger, boom, that trigger that emotion and that feeling. And it's just a matter of, number one, when that garbage belief of I'm not enough starts to pop up, you start to become conscious of it and separate yourself from it. And as you start to do that more and more, you're going to get stronger. And as you start to remove that belief and instill a new one, each and every day you're going to get stronger. But like repetition, like shooting baskets, you know, the free throw line or swinging the bat, it's with repetition every single day, and it takes conscious effort. If you're not in, for me, man, when I was like, you know, if I wasn't in a conversation with my parents, my girlfriend, or any of my friends, like I got obsessed with it. I would, if I was out cutting the lawn for my parents, I would take every second of that experience to think and feel and tune into and reprogram and use that time towards becoming who I know that I needed to become. And I also changed a little bit about how I ask for things and how I, you know, prayer and things like that. I used to, you know, God, please give me the wealth, give me the strength. God, please give me this and that. I'm going to hop, you know, we got a crowd of 500 people. God, I hope they get what they want and all this stuff. That, again, in that way of prayer actually enforces and reinforces that it's outside of me. Like, it's not like, God, please give it to me, just says and states that I don't have it. So once I learned a little bit about that, man, I would start to pray, thank you, God, for, you know, to pray as if your prayers are already answered instead of asking and begging and requesting and coming from a place of lack. So all these little things, and I've had anchors and metaphors. I used to carry a check for $1 million on me. So whenever I touched my pocket, I'd remember where I was going and who I have to become to get there. And just reminders wherever you frequent most, you know, whether that's the car, you know, the bathroom, up on the mirror, your fridge, wherever it is, just notes and affirmations, and which will trigger certain emotions. And again, reminders of who you've got to be today because of where you're going, because of your message and voice and what you're building. So a couple tips there, but man, that's like going to the gym, brother. As you know, that's not one and done. That's a lifestyle commitment, and you got to show up. You know, success is earned, right? It's not owned, and rent is due every single day. You got to show up for that.
Yeah. How has a failure or a mistake set you up for later success? Have you ever gone through that?
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, definitely. That's part of being the entrepreneur, the failure. You know, I've heard from a lot of my mentors say that about once every quarter, the business owner will make a decision that will either make or break the company, and really have to deal with stress and really have to deal with risk. And that's just, you know, that's part of it. And as you grow and start to see success, it's not like that goes away. If you keep growing, it's just going to be in different areas. But the failures are, you know, those are the good things, man. Those are the things where you've got to really take a step back, see what happened, you know, again, find gratitude in whatever that failure was, and understand that there's a lesson here. Like, I really, you know, I've been with companies where they've gone out of business, and you're super pissed at them in the moment, of course, but where's the lesson here? What didn't I see? Or what was, you know, I honestly believe that there's a book from Ryan Holiday called The Obstacle is the Way. It's one of my favorite books. And he talks about, like, these obstacles, these challenges these are the things that make champions. These are the things, like, that's, most people would turn away from that. Something gets tough. No, I'm good. That's uncomfortable. That's unknown. I don't like that. His book talks about, look, like, that's where the growth edge is. That's where, you know, that's what's required for you to become the next level, the next version of yourself. So with, man, those failures and obstacles, a long time ago, I started seeing them. I get pissed still. I'm very red personality wise, for sure. But I've learned to control my emotions, and from those quote unquote, what I would have seen earlier as failures and wasted times, those have been some of the most prolific, proficient, you know, epiphany type of moments, because from that place, you know, you get to see where you're made of. You get to see, right. You know, you really some things start to pop up. And if it wasn't for that, you know, having to figure that out, then you wouldn't be able to, you know, if I was handed MLSP 10 years ago, man, that would have been gone. Done. You know, I wouldn't have been able to handle that. I didn't go through anything. I didn't have to see the failures. I didn't have to see where we had to lay off people or have to change, payment structures because people we were using, you know, I remember years ago, man, one of the processors we were using, the merchant accounts, was actually involved, and they were doing a bunch of different companies, and one of them was like a gambling service. So we got everything frozen. This was years ago, and we were like, holy shit, you know, this is kind of when we're just starting to really move, and we got big time affiliates paying out 6 figures a month or not a month on each payout. And we pay a couple times a month. And it got super, we had to get raw. We had to do some crazy stuff. And, I'm grateful for those moments, because in those and having to figure those trials and tribulations out, again, that's where your mental, your emotional fitness and physical strength and emotional strength gets to really, it's like a muscle. You got to stretch it. So then when, you come up to the next challenge, it's not so bad. And you keep growing as this person who can handle more, and you take on more. And it's just never ending growth cycle if you're going to be an entrepreneur. So I believe that those failures are some of our greatest moments.
Right. That's powerful stuff right there. You've touched on this a couple of times, but I just want to go a little bit deeper here. How important, Brian, is meditation and visualization in the prosperity building process? And do you see them as the same or different?
So yeah, I do see them as the same, meditation and visualization, because if you can't see it, like, forget about it. Like to visualize and to meditate and to sit with yourself and to go within, because honestly, for 99% of the coaching clients we get, they already know what to do. It's not, building a business, build, engage, sell. You build your audience, you engage with them, and you sell them something. It's not hard to actually build the business. And with YouTube and Google and MLSP, like, you've got enough information, right? And in terms of the prosperity and the meditation and the visualization, that really is, it's 80 to 90% psychology. And I'm not saying you need a plan. You want to find structure, find your audience, figure out what strategy you're going to come to the market with. And whether if you like blogging and articles, or if you like videos and YouTube, if you like, more of the messenger marketing and connecting with people one-on-one, moving over to Zoom, whatever that is, to get out of your own way and actually do it, that's a totally different story. And for me, it really comes down to having that vision and then sitting with that every single day to visualize, to mentally rehearse, whatever you want. A lot of people feel like they can't meditate, and that's fine. Sit and visualize what you want. Sit and honestly, that's why when we talk about vision, who do you want to become? What type of, if you had that 5-figure-a-month business, what kind of thoughts would they think? What kind of thoughts would they no longer entertain and embrace? Right? Who would they be throughout the day? What kind, if you had the 5-figure-a-month business, how would your relationships change? How would you treat your spouse? How would you talk to your kids? How would you handle yourself on the phone if you had that? Okay, cool. Now we've got that. Now sit, breathe a little bit, just breathe, and start to visualize what that could look like and feel like and become, and start to change your vibration slowly through meditation and visualization, and mentally rehearse getting on a webinar with someone, talking one-on-one, asking them a few questions. If you're scared as hell to even do that, that's totally cool. I was too, but you've got to start that. Those are the things. Right. In this space, those are the income producing activities. And you've got to, through your mind's eye, start to see yourself as that person. Because if you're doing the work right, that 5-figure-a-month business owner does that. Right. And cool. You're going to have to start trying that on every day through things like visualization and meditation, and just ripping out old programs, man, and patterns that don't serve you anymore.
Right. Let's say somebody is stuck financially. Perhaps they think they're too old. They can't change their future. They've tried to have success in network marketing. They've tried to generate, their brand, their leads, and they're not having any success. What advice would you give that person?
So, I mean, if Terry, you threw out, if that was marketing or sponsoring, recruiting, or if it was just in any area,
well, they're stuck. They just don't believe they can do it.
Okay.
Again, and they're too old. Maybe they're 60 years old. Well, I'm 61, so it's like,
yeah,
that's not old for me. I feel like I'm 31. So, but some people just feel like, nothing's happening.
Gotcha. For me, man, scare the hell out of yourself. And I still do this exercise to this day. And I honestly, if there was one limiting belief, if you, the listener, could pinpoint one limiting belief like Terry just talked about, one of the big ones, I'm too old, I don't have enough money, would nobody listen to me, I don't have value, all these things. For me, I had a massive breakthrough going through Tony Robbins is actually his quote unquote Dickens process. And what he does is really, it's powerful because our bodies, our brains will do much more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. It's just, the body is wired for survival. It looks for the threats out there. So to avoid the pain, avoid the lion around the corner, that's for me had a massive impact. So for example, I'm too old. Okay, first off, I would ask yourself, is that really true? And what does that even mean? It is so just a blanket statement. Too old for what? I don't really, that doesn't make, if you really tear it apart, but let's just play here and take that belief and just write down how this is affecting you, how this is impacting you in your career, in your business, your ability to show up and take the call or set the appointment or go get up and do the follow-up or do the webinar or do the speaking on stage, and really write that down. Like pin just find the one limiting belief, the one biggest one in your life, and write down how it's impacting your relationship with your kids, your spouse, your body, your energy levels, your connection with your creator or whatever you believe. And then you bundle all that up, you really go through this exercise, stay there for a couple minutes, and you put all that weight right on your shoulders, just like a big old boulder, and drag it into the future 5 years, and then feel the weight of that limiting belief. And what did you miss out on? How do and then do the whole thing over, a couple minutes, stay there, and fast forward another 10 years. And you ultimately get, for me, I like going like 100 years out, life is gone. What kind of life was it? Like, who were you?
Right.
Someone gave you these gifts, and you decided to live like this limiting belief be your compass. Who were you for your kids and now grandkids? What do they say about you? Right. What the book you didn't write, the stage you didn't get on, the song you didn't write. And if you do this right, your brain, brother, I've gone through this exercise and bawled wildly. Your brain, if you conjure up enough pain, your brain will have to make the switch. And from that place, it will break, and you will need a new belief. And that's where visualization and meditation every single day comes in, because you've got to connect with that. You've got to step into the absolute truth, which is really the fact that you are powerful. You're absolutely unlimited, that we can do anything, and that we're creators, period. And when we start to embody that and become that, then we don't feel so stuck, and we start to ask the right questions. The right people start to show up, the right people in business, partners, opportunities. And it's just coming from that place. If you're feeling stuck, I encourage you to go through some type of exercise like that. Super painful, to feel a lot of pain now in the future, but to maybe feel for the first time in a very long time, some pleasure and some hope and some vision for where we're headed here. That I think that exercise alone, in terms of a limiting belief, we can just shoot those and start to replace them with more empowering and the truth, the absolute truth.
Yeah, that's powerful. Thanks so much for sharing that. Okay, let's shift the conversation to a couple lighter subjects. Let's say you had the ability to send everybody in the world a text message tomorrow morning around creating prosperity and abundance in their life, Brian. What would that text message say?
A text message about prosperity to everybody, about how to create prosperity, or just a little?
How to create more prosperity and abundance in their life.
Yeah. Okay. Cool, man. Again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, because it's been the one thing is for me, gratitude. If nothing more, it doesn't need to be, it has nothing to do with your bank account, right? And neither does when you're prospecting or trying to build a business. They don't care about your resume. They care about what you can do for them. And for me, that text would be something like, where there's an abundance amount of blank, fill in the blank here, force your brain. And there right now in your environment, as you read this text, there is an abundance of blank. And at the bare minimum, you got to say oxygen, or electricity, or the internet, or there is an abundance of everything. But you're going to start to create wealth. You can't do it from a place of lack. You need to feel abundant. So one thing we can do right now is start acknowledging that there is an abundance of prosperity out there. And yeah, that's the thing, man. There's always, what's wrong is always available. All right. And if you keep focusing on that, guess what you're gonna keep on enduring, feeling, experiencing is more of that. Like we've got to, like, you want prosperity, start with the basics. Like, go out and play guitar in the beginning of the day when everyone's running to work, feeling unfulfilled. You want to feel gratitude, man. Go talk to a veteran, go hold a baby, go play with a puppy. It's just pure love, right? Find something that raises your vibration, raises your frequency, so that we can start to connect with these higher levels of prosperity, wealth, and consciousness. And for me, I would say something along the lines of, there right now, look around, there is an abundance of blank in your world. And that's the start. You got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's pretty powerful stuff right there. In the last 5 years, Brian, has there been a new belief or behavior that has had an impact on your overall quality of life? Something new in the last 5 years that you've adopted?
New belief. I am more and more letting go. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning, man, I had to do everything. And I hope that I say it wasn't ego, but probably when it's, I had to be, at some point, it had to be a part of everything. Everything needed to come through my desk, the copy, the emails, the sales letters, the videos. I had to do everything. And a new belief for me is really finding the one or two things that I really, really excel at and I'm really good at and I enjoy doing, and outsource the rest. And that belief, that approach in business has been able to actually spend some quality time, maybe for the first time ever, have an actual deep, fulfilling relationship, because I've been able to take that, that I don't need to, there are great people out there and some, with great hearts and passions, and we just got to train them on what we want. And building a business like that for me has been, it was a learning curve, and I've read a lot of books on it, and delegation and team building, and really building an organization built for the long term. And that doesn't, what if something happens to me? I don't want this thing. It's much greater than just me. I want this to be like a legacy play. And if I'm gone, I don't want the company to have any hiccups. I don't want there to be any blips. And that belief of just, hey man, get your head out of your tail, let go. And actually enjoy this process even more. And for me, that belief is, it's been a godsend and a learning experience. And I think that if you are holding like white knuckles onto every aspect of your business, go out there and find a couple people to help. Go, find some outsourcers, find some good people who are integritous and want to, can see and get an alignment with your vision. And, I think you'll do a lot. Awesome. It'll really help your life and your business. Yeah.
Is there an unusual habit or thing that you love, Brian?
Unusual habits. Man, I love racquetball right now. I am really enjoying racquetball. Of course, music. I've got I got some basses and guitars and stuff over there. But right now I'm really enjoying racquetball. I just joined a gym over with my brother, and it's been really fun to go play. And we're not very good, but we run a lot and sweat, and it's been really, really fun to play those. I actually hit, man, I'm swinging so dang hard in that little brick that I honestly, I need to ice my elbow in the evenings, because I'm trying to whip and put so much topspin on the thing. It's really, really fun. Over the last few weeks, we've had some good battles, some good games.
Very cool. Yeah, I love that game. It's all in the wrist. It's all in the wrist.
Yeah, man. Yep, for sure.
Do you have a mantra that you've repeated to yourself over the years?
Every single day, man. I've got a couple bracelets on here. I'm getting better and better. Honestly, it was the first. It sounds so cheesy. I know. I get it. But honestly, if you are one of the first. My first company was selling personal growth events and workbooks and stuff, which I'm so grateful for, because that's certainly what I needed. I was just broke, not much confidence, and just wound up in that company. And that was the first mantra I'd ever heard of through one of the books that we were reading. And it made sense, man. It's not even deep or prolific. It's just, look, if I'm getting better, if I'm forcing my brain to look at how I'm getting better, then I'm going to find ways that I am getting better and acknowledge the wins and acknowledge the growth. And guess what? I'm going to by chance, I'm going to get better. And each day and each week I got a little bit better, go figure. And I would look for ways at how I could get better. And then at the end of the day, look and reflect on how I did improve. In the same breath, looking for ways where I, again, did fall and can improve even better the next day. But again, this was and still is home base. I've got I am gratitude on one of these things, and I'm getting better and better. And that, to me, it's our mantra at every event, before and after every speaker. And it isn't hocus pocus, let's go hug a tree, positive thinking. It's just, look, force your brain. You are getting better. You may not have all the answers. You're never going to, right? But you can acknowledge that it's getting a little bit better. And, for those who are going to argue that and say, it's not getting better, I'm broke, life sucks. That's the program. That's what you got to work on. From what we just talked about over the last hour, take some of those tips and start going to work. Because it doesn't matter how much strategy or tactics Terry or I give you in terms of marketing, traffic, lead, sales, you're going to, if you gave someone who is in that mindset of I'm not worthy, I can't close, it doesn't matter if I gave you 100 leads, right? There's no posture, there's no belief. That's why 80-90% of this game is psychology, really. Yep. So that's the big one for me, man. I'm getting better and better.
Awesome. I love that one. That's one of my favorites as well, man. The gratitude. I love that one. If only you had a t-shirt with that, right?
Yeah. There's a reason we have some of these threads, man. It's because
I saw that. I love it. I love it.
Every time if you're wearing the shirt, you got to go to the mirror at some point, and you're just going to little reminders, and hopefully that gets you in a state where you're actually creating these anchors and reminders throughout the day, because that's, to control your state, no matter what's going on the outside. You're committed to that beautiful state. You're committed to gratitude. You're committed to who the vision. Good things will, you'll find your way out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, Brian, I just want to say thank you so much, man. You have delivered the goods today. You've shared so much awesome information about how people can really transform their lives by doing some simple things. If somebody wants to connect with you, kind of get to know you a little bit better, what's the best way for them to do that?
I'll probably just mlsp.com is probably where I'm most active. You can check us out over there, and I'm always in the group. We're doing wake up calls and webinars all the time. That's probably the best place. Or just find me on Facebook. Just search Brian Fanale, you'll find me. But mlsp.com is where I call home right now.
Awesome. That's a great place to be, brother. Appreciate everything you're doing there. So, my friend, I know you got a lot of value out of this. Definitely want to listen to this interview several times. Take some notes, apply what Brian says, and I promise you it will absolutely change your life. To learn more about interviews like this, just go to terrypetrovick.com/mentors. And remember this, my friend, you have a choice. Make it a better than terrific day and a prosperous one, because you absolutely deserve it. Until next time, bye-bye for now.